Hey everybody, Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 7, Episode 7, Dark Page. Oh god, this is probably one of my favorite episodes and one of the darkest, most twisted episodes. And to be honest, it's a little frustrating as well, but we'll get to that later. So this, as far as The Next Generation is concerned, this is the last appearance of Lwaxana Troi, which as you guys all know is one of my favorite characters. She does appear in Deep Space Nine after this. And this episode kind of gets a sequel, or at least it gets mentioned in Deep Space Nine. So the first plot, or the main premise of this episode, is we have encountered a new alien race, and they're completely telepathic. And so Lwaxana, being Betazoid and also telepathic in a different sense, is basically sent as an ambassador, and to kind of help them learn to speak English, or at least speak in general. So she comes on board, and she starts kind of acting a little different, and they meet one of the main ambassadors that, of course, Lwaxana in classic Troi fashion embarrasses Counselor Troi, Deanna, trying to get her interested in this guy. And he's a widower, and he has a daughter played by a very young Kirsten Dunst. This was like a year before Interview with a Vampire came out, so she wasn't super famous yet. It's not the first thing she had ever done, but she wasn't like well known. And so as this race is kind of meeting all the people and learning to talk and communicate without using telepathy, Lwaxana is just having a lot of trouble, and she ends up going into a coma. And there's a lot of talk about her psycho collapsed on itself. And so the main ambassador of this species kind of tries to make a bridge so Deanna can enter into Lwaxana's mind and kind of see what's going on and why she's struggling. And what they realize is that she's hiding something, and because the telepaths of this race have said, oh, we're completely open, we talk about everything. But she has a dark place in her mind. And at first, Deanna thinks they're talking about privacy, and it turns out it's a lot deeper than that. And so they're trying to find clues, and it turns out that from about a year after Lwaxana and Ian Troi get married, for about, I think they said 7 years, her diary has been erased, and they don't know what's going on. It goes from about a year after they got married to about the time Deanna was born. So Deanna goes in to try to find her mom and to talk to her, and a version of her father appears, and this is the first time that we've seen Ian Troi. So that was kind of a cool little shout out. And his outfit was like the old outfit. And so she finally sees her mom, and her mom is just broken. Now, Majel Barrett is a fantastic actress. Whether you go back to The Cage and she plays number 1, or the original series and she plays Nurse Chapel, or even if you're just in The Next Generation and she's the voice of the Enterprise, or Lwaxana Troi, Majel Barrett was an amazing actress, fantastic. And Lwaxana Troi is a great role to watch her be bubbly, because number 1 and Nurse Chapel were very laid back, whereas Lwaxana is so out there. And I mean, she's already been naked in 2 episodes. Fantastic actress. This episode almost makes me cry, because she is so good in this episode. And you see Lwaxana in a new form, where she's not flirting with Picard, she's not doing anything. She's a broken woman, and she's having a very difficult time. And it turns out that shortly after Deanna was born, or actually shortly after she got married, they had a daughter. And the daughter was about 7 or so. She was kind of an older child. And shortly after Deanna was born, they were all out at a picnic, and the dog ran away, and Deanna was crying, and so Lwaxana was focusing on Deanna, and the dog ran away, and the elder daughter went after it, and it's kind of implied, I don't think it said specifically what happened, but it's implied that she drowned, and Lwaxana's oldest child died. And Lwaxana basically created this mental bubble to kind of protect herself, and she never coped with it. And shortly after that, Ian Troi, her husband, died. And that, it's kind of supposed to explain why Lwaxana is so protective of Deanna and why Deanna's her little one, and she's just always there for her. And it's a heartbreaking episode. It is a heartbreaking scene where you just see this mother has lost her child, and it's very, very sad. And I cannot stress enough how great Majel Barrett is in this scene. What's a little bit frustrating is how they deal with it in the aftermath. So to kind of spoil Deep Space Nine a little bit, Lwaxana is in an episode where she's pregnant, and she's talking to Odo about her elder child that died and how it kind of pained her. At no point does she talk about Deanna. And like at no point is Deanna in an episode of Deep Space Nine. And I don't know, I felt like it was a missed opportunity. Like they would have had to pay rights or something, so they just completely ignored it. I don't know, it's super frustrating to me, that episode of Deep Space Nine. But it's interesting to watch Lwaxana, such a likable character, such a bubbly character, have such a tragic event in her life and to cope with it. It's a fantastic episode. I really like this episode. I wish they'd kind of done more with it, but I can understand. So for those who have seen it, what did you think about Majel Barrett's performance and seeing her in a completely new light? So go ahead, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for everything. I will see you guys next time for Attached.